Political watchers are saying this could be the nastiest, most negative election season of all time.
This campaign season seems like candidates have taken dirty to a whole new level.
When pundits start shouting and politicians start calling each other's names, it can seem like a return to civility is not possible. Like the very idea is a relic of some bygone era.
John Adams is a blind, bald, crippled, toothless man who wants to start a war with France while he's trying to marry one of his sons to a daughter of King George. Haven't we had enough monarchy in America?
I'm Thomas Jefferson, and I approve this message because John Adams is a hideous, hermaphroditical character with neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman.
If Thomas Jefferson wins, murder, robbery, the air will be rent with the cries of the distressed, the soil will be soaked with blood, and the nation black with crimes. Are you prepared to see your dwellings in flames?
Campaign propaganda. Which strategies would you use? As you see below is a picture of a doctor with a syringe and a patient sitting on the examining table. The doctor says, "You didn't even flinch. You must have a high tolerance for pain." The patient says, "Yes, 22 months of political ads will do that to you, doc." Very soon here in Florida, we will start to see political ads as we have a primary coming up in March. So very soon you will start to see the different ads as the candidates try to advertise on TV, print media, and on the internet on trying to get you to vote for their candidate or to get you to not vote for a different candidate. So your overview for this document-based question will be, how do you respond to political ads? Do attack ads cause you to reject the candidate being attacked, or the one doing the attacking? Are you persuaded by endorsement from groups that you respect? Are you aware how other ads try to influence you? Every election year, Americans complain bitterly about the main political ads they see over the long campaign season. This mini Q is designed to take you inside the world of campaign ads to learn about the strategies candidates and their managers use to win our votes. The documents that you will use are listed below, but you can use your pen or pencil to cross out the following ones that we will not use. Document B, Ronald Reagan, 1984. Use your pen or pencil and cross that out. Do not use a highlighter because we don't want you to think it's important. We want you to cross that out. Document B, Ronald Reagan, 1984, and Document F, Nixon versus Humphrey, 1968. So cross those two campaign parts out of your documents, and you will proceed with the lesson.
The hook exercise. Would you vote for this man? Buttons bearing a candidate's message have been in the campaigning politician's toolkit since the mid-1800s. How much can a button tell you about a candidate? Let's have a look. The directions. Examine each of the buttons closely. Look at both the pictures and the words. Notice the expressions on each candidate's face. Think about what the symbols mean. Use your observations to complete the table. In the middle column, write 2 factual observations about each button. In the right-hand column, make an inference about what the message the candidate is trying to send, based on the fact you listed in the second column. For example, in the middle, for facts and observations, you can put Reagan with his wife. The inference would be that he's a family man with family values. So for the chart on the bottom of this page, on the middle column, you're just writing down facts or observations that you get from the buttons. And then next to it, you're writing the inference, or what you're getting from that. Where is that fact leading? What does that fact make you believe? And you're writing that down under the inference column. Once you've done that, you're ready to move on to the next part of the DBQ.
In your DBQ booklet, you should be looking at the background essay. It should look like this. And should say, Campaign Propaganda. Which strategies would you use? Make sure you have a pen, pencil, or highlighter ready so you can mark the text as we go through the reading. In just a few years, you will be voting. Some of you may be voting already. You will probably be wearing campaign buttons or putting campaign bumper stickers for your favorite candidate on your car. You may be working on a political campaign. To be both a smart voter and a smart campaigner, you must understand the purpose of campaigns and the tricks of the campaigners' trade. In an election, the people vote to decide which candidate they want. Society's goal for the political campaign is that they provide the information voters need to make a good decision. The candidate's goal, on the other hand, is to convince voters to put an X next to their names on the ballot. And how does a candidate attract those X's? A big part of the answer is campaign propaganda. Propaganda is all around us. Think about all the ads you see in a single day, whether on television, in video games, on billboards, or at the movies. Advertising is a form of propaganda because it is designed to shape your beliefs and your actions. Whoppo burgers build muscles and attract girls. Hear that ad enough and some guys will buy Whoppos. Campaign propaganda is another form of advertising, except in this case, the product being sold is the candidate. Underline or highlight that sentence. Campaign propaganda is another form of advertising, except in this case, the product being sold is the candidate. You must be aware of it on television or the internet, but there are lots of other campaign propaganda delivery systems. Websites, tweets, automated phone calls, aka robocalls, which tend to happen when you're eating dinner, campaign buttons, bumper stickers, flyers sent through the mail, papers, billboards, radio, movies, books, comic strips, and video games. Go ahead and underline or highlight all those examples of different types of campaign propaganda. And then next to it on the left-hand side, write types of campaign propaganda. With all of these campaign ad delivery systems available, how does a campaign manager plan to reach the voters? Over the years, campaign propagandists have developed certain tricks of the trade. Here are 6 of the tricks often used in political campaigns. Here are 6 tricks often used in political campaigns. Testimonials / endorsements is when a prominent person announces her support for a candidate. That is an example of this technique at work. Endorsements may be from business leaders, other politicians, or even celebrities. Testimonials can also come from everyday people. For example, a military veteran might talk about how a politician backed laws good for veterans. Endorsements that are unexpected may be the most effective. For example, when former Secretary of State Colin Powell, a Republican, endorsed Senator Obama in 2008, it was big news. So go ahead and underline or highlight testimonial endorsements right at the beginning of that bullet to make it stand out a little more. Then I want you to underline who the endorsements could be from, examples of who can give an endorsement. And then also highlight or underline the fact that it says testimonials come from everyday people. Because it doesn't just have to be someone famous, but it can be everyday people showing their support. Stacking the deck. Underline or highlight that phrase to make it stand out. Stacking the deck means including positive facts and leaving out negative ones. For example, a candidate might say that she voted for a tax cut without mentioning tax increases she also voted for. Plain folks. Underline or highlight that to make it stand out. This method is designed to appeal to ordinary people by making the candidate seem to be just like them. In 2008, Senator Obama often talked about his Kansas grandparents. He and Senator McCain both attended events like county fairs. Both went to bars and drank a beer. In 2012, Governor Romney frequently wore jeans, and President Obama rolled up his sleeves. So these are examples of plain folks trying to act like they're just like everyone else, normal, ordinary people, so that way people will relate to them and then vote for them. Negative or attack ads. Underline or highlight that. This technique involves saying bad things about the opponent. Ads calling a candidate a flip-flopper or pointing out problems in the candidate's personal life are common attack ads. Often, attack ads are designed to make voters fearful about the future if the other candidate wins. Many people say they dislike these so-called attack ads and don't want candidates to use them. Yet attack ads do seem to work. So attack ads is when you're using an advertisement to just say bad things about the other candidate to make people like them less. Glittering generalities. Make sure you underline or highlight that. This trick involves using certain catchphrases that appeal to people's emotions but are so vague they have little meaning. Campaign slogans often fall into this category. Underline or highlight that sentence. Campaign slogans often fall into this category. For example, in 2008, the then Senator Obama used the, turn the page. So Senator Obama used the slogan, "Change, we can believe in," while Senator McCain's slogan was "Country First." These slogans sound good, but is their meaning clear? So it's when you're using a slogan or a statement that sounds really nice and appealing, but doesn't really say how they're going to do anything. It's very vague. Guilt by association, or coattailing. Underline or highlight that. These techniques are the opposite of each other. In guilt by association, a candidate tries to make the opponent seem bad because he was associated with an unpopular person, event, or idea. In coattailing, a candidate tries to make himself look good by claiming a relationship to a popular person, event, or idea. I want you to underline or highlight what coattailing and what guilt by association, the meanings are. Think about a vice president running to become president. If the president he served with were popular, he would probably use coattailing. Say he would mention a lot that he was the vice president because that would help that popularity move on to him. If the president he served with was unpopular, his opponent might use guilt by association. So if the person he was working with, the president at the time, was not popular with the people, the guy running against that vice president would try to mention a lot that he was working with that president, so he would become less popular. How does a campaign manager decide which propaganda strategy to use? We suggest that you use the 3 measuring sticks. 1. Is it informative to the voters? A campaign strategy is informative if it provides voters with a better understanding of the candidate and his or her position on the issues. 2. Is it effective in winning votes? A campaign strategy is effective if it wins votes and helps the candidate get elected. And 3, is it ethical? A campaign strategy is ethical if it is truthful and respectful of the opponents. The challenge is to conduct a campaign that is both effective and ethical. Here is your task. You are in charge of a political campaign in your state. Your candidate is 3 percentage points behind the major candidate. The election is only 2 weeks away. You have $1 million to spend on 3 ads. $600,000 for one ad, $300,000 for a second ad, and $100,000 for a third. The candidate you are working for has requested that each ad use different strategy as described above. Write a letter to your candidate which describes your advertising plan. With each of the 3 strategy choices, do 3 things. 1. State the amount of money you will be spending on that ad. 2. Use documents from the mini-Q that provide historical examples of the strategy. And 3. Explain why you would believe that a strategy is informative, effective, and ethical. Good luck. What I want you to do on the bottom of that is we're going to adjust that a little bit to where I want you to write on the bottom of this page $600,000, $300,000, and $100,000. And then next to each one of those numbers, I want you to say which type of advertising out of the types of propaganda we just used, which type of propaganda would you use for the $600,000, so the one you'd spend the most on, which one would you spend the second amount of money on, and which one would you spend the least. So pretty much I want you to rank the top 3 forms of propaganda, in your opinion, that you would use if you were a campaign manager, and I want you to write that on the bottom. Once you've done that, you can now move on with the rest of the assignment.
Now you should have completed the marking the text for the background essay. You now need to answer these 8 questions on a separate sheet of paper. Make sure you number the paper and answer in complete sentences. Keep this paper in your DBQ booklet so that we can grade it at the end. Once you've completed this, look at the timeline at the bottom and review over it, and then you're ready to move on with the rest of the DBQ.